My name is Clara Bennett, and 6 months ago, I graduated with honors. But when they called my name, there was no one in the crowd clapping for me, because my parents were busy celebrating my younger brother. And what I did 6 months later made them wish they had just shown up that day. Before I tell you everything, take a second. Like this video only if you actually feel this story. Subscribe if you understand what it's like to be overlooked, and comment where you're watching from. I read every single one. Now let me take you back. Graduation day. The kind of day people post about for the rest of their lives. I remember standing in front of the mirror in my tiny apartment, adjusting my cap for the 3rd time. The tassel kept falling into my eyes, and my hands were shaking. Not because I was nervous about walking the stage, but because I kept checking my phone. 3 messages to my mom. Ceremony starts at 10. I reserved seats. Please don't be late. All delivered, all read. No reply. I told myself they were just busy. They had to be, because this wasn't just any day. This was proof. 4 years of working nights at a diner. 4 years of studying until my eyes burned. 4 years of building something, completely on my own. They wouldn't miss this. They couldn't. When I got to campus, the parking lot was already full. Families everywhere. Mothers fixing their daughters' gowns. Fathers holding cameras like it was the most important job in the world. One girl ran into her dad's arms crying before the ceremony even started. I watched that for a second too long. Then I looked at my phone again. Nothing. Inside the hall, the noise hit me first. Thousands of voices, laughter, excitement, pride. I found my seat. Then I looked up at the family section. 4 chairs, all empty. My last name printed neatly on each one. Bennett. I stared at them longer than I should have. Then I texted again. Are you close? Seen. No reply. 5 minutes before the ceremony started, someone sat in one of those seats. Not my mom, not my dad. Professor Elaine Carter. She was in her 60s, always strict, always sharp, the kind of professor students were afraid of. She caught my eye from across the hall, gave me a small nod. That was it. But somehow, it meant more than anything my parents had ever said. When they called my name, Clara Bennett, Bachelor of Finance with distinction. I stood up, walked across that stage, and for a moment, everything slowed down. I could hear clapping, but it wasn't for me. It was general, polite, distant. Then, one voice cut through it. That's my student. Professor Carter. Clear, proud, loud enough to reach me. I didn't smile. I didn't cry. I just nodded and kept walking. After the ceremony, the campus turned into a celebration. Families hugging, photos everywhere, flowers, laughter. I stood off to the side holding my diploma, like I didn't know what to do with it. Then I called my mom. She picked up, laughing. There was music in the background, plates clinking, people talking. Oh, honey, she said. We're at Riverside Grill. I closed my eyes. Mom, my graduation was today. There was a pause. Then she said, well, your brother just got promoted. We had to celebrate something important. Something important. I didn't say anything. In the background, I heard my dad. Tell her we'll do dinner next week. Next week. Like this was just another thing that could be postponed. I ended the call, sat down on a bench, and watched everyone else have the moment I thought I'd earned. That was the exact moment something inside me shifted. Not anger, not sadness. Something quieter, something colder. Clarity. Let me explain something you need to understand about my family. My brother, Ryan Bennett, was always the priority, not because he worked harder, not because he deserved it more, but because he was easier to love. He didn't challenge them. He didn't outgrow them. He stayed exactly where they needed him to be. And me? I didn't fit their version of success, so they acted like I didn't exist. When I got accepted into college, my mom said, "We can't afford that." The same month, my dad bought Ryan a brand new car. Cash, no hesitation. That was the moment I stopped asking for help and started building everything myself. By the time I graduated, I had paid for everything: tuition, books, rent, food, every single dollar. No support, no backup, no safety net, just me. And still, I thought that day would change something, that they would finally look at me and say, "We're proud of you." They didn't. That night, I sat in my apartment, my diploma on the table, my phone silent, and I made a decision I had been avoiding for years. I stopped trying to prove myself to people who had already decided I wasn't enough. The next morning, I didn't call them. I didn't text. I didn't explain. I just disappeared from their expectations. And for the first time in my life, I kept my progress to myself. 2 weeks later, something happened that changed everything. But this time, I didn't tell my family. Not a word. If you've ever worked hard for something and the people you wanted there didn't show up, then you already know what comes next. Because in part 2, that's when my life started moving forward. And theirs finally started catching up. 2 weeks after graduation, I got a call that should have been the happiest moment of my life. And for the first time, I didn't reach for my phone to tell my parents. It was a Thursday morning. I was halfway through a double shift at the diner, still in my uniform, hair tied back, hands smelling like coffee and dish soap. My phone buzzed in my apron. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. Something told me not to. Hello? Hi, is this Clara Bennett? Yes. This is Daniel Reeves from Reeves and Carter Financial Group. We reviewed your application, and we'd like to offer you the position. I didn't say anything for a second. Not because I didn't understand, but because my brain needed time to catch up with reality. Starting salary is $62,000, full benefits, and we'd like you to begin in 2 weeks. I leaned against the wall behind the kitchen door. The noise of the diner faded. I accept. When the call ended, I just stood there. No dramatic reaction, no tears, just stillness. Because for years, I had imagined this exact moment, and in every version of it, I was calling my mom. "Mom, I got the job." "Oh, honey, we're so proud of you." That version never happened. Instead, I put my phone back in my pocket and went back to work. That night, I told exactly 2 people. My best friend, Lena Brooks, and Professor Carter. Lena screamed so loud I had to pull the phone away from my ear. Professor Carter just said, calmly, "I expected nothing less." Those 2 reactions meant more than anything my parents had ever given me. I didn't post about it. I didn't mention it at family dinners. I didn't give them a single piece of information. Not out of spite, out of protection. Because I had finally understood something. Not everyone deserves access to your progress. My new job started quietly. No celebration, no announcement, just me, walking into a glass office building downtown, wearing the only blazer I owned. I remember standing in the elevator, looking at my reflection. I didn't look different, but I felt it. For the first time, I wasn't trying to become something. I was becoming it. The first month was intense. Long hours, real responsibility, real expectations. But I didn't struggle. I adapted. Fast. Because when you've spent years doing everything alone, pressure doesn't scare you. It feels familiar. Meanwhile, nothing changed at home. And that's when it really hit me. I went to dinner one Sunday. Same table, same food, same conversations. My mom talking about Ryan, my dad nodding, Ryan talking about his busy schedule at work. Then my mom turned to me. "So, how's everything going?" That was it. Not curiosity, not interest, just a routine question. I looked at her, and for the first time in my life, I gave her exactly what she had given me for years. "Fine." She nodded and moved on. Just like that. It was almost surreal. I was sitting there, knowing I had a career. A real one. A salary they had never imagined for me. A future I built completely alone. And they had no idea. Not even a clue. That's when I realized something else. It wasn't just that they didn't support me. They had never actually seen me. 2 months into my job, I got my first real paycheck. Not diner money, not survival money, career money. I sat in my apartment, staring at the number on my screen. Then I opened a new savings account and transferred $2,000 into it. No hesitation, no fear, just quiet confidence. That same week, Lena and I went out for coffee. She was complaining about rent again. "I'm gonna be stuck renting forever," she said. I didn't say anything at first, because what I was about to say would have sounded insane to the version of me from 6 months ago. "I've been looking at houses." She froze. "Clara, what?" "I've been saving since I was 18. She stared at me like I'd just told her I won the lottery. "You're serious?" "I'm serious." And I was. Every lunch break, every quiet moment, I had been running numbers, calculating, planning. Not dreaming, planning. A small house, nothing fancy, just something that was mine. 2 bedrooms, a quiet street, a place where I didn't have to earn my presence. Then, one afternoon, I found it. White exterior, small porch, old but solid, on a quiet street called Maple Ridge Drive. I didn't realize it at first, but that street mattered, because it was on my father's daily route to work. I stood outside that house, hands in my pockets, heart steady. Not racing, not nervous, just certain. This wasn't a dream anymore. This was a decision. That night, my mom called me, first time in weeks. "Clara, we're having a small family dinner Saturday. You should come." Should. Not we want you there. Not we miss you. Just should. I said yes, out of habit, not desire. And I shouldn't have, because what happened at that dinner was the final confirmation I needed. That nothing about them had changed. Not even a little. If part 1 was about being ignored, part 2 was about realizing something deeper. They weren't going to change. And in part 3, that's where everything flips. Because 6 months later, when I finally sent that one photo, they didn't just regret missing my graduation. They realized they had completely lost me. That dinner was the moment everything became final for me. Same house, same table, same energy. Nothing had changed. And that was the problem. My mom was already talking when I walked in. "Ryan's manager says he might get another promotion soon." Of course. Ryan. Always Ryan. I sat down quietly, listened, waited. At some point, my dad looked at me. "So, Clara, what are you doing these days?" Not what have you achieved, not how's your career, just what are you doing? Like I was still figuring life out. I could have told them everything. The job, the salary, the progress, the plans. But I didn't. I just said, working. He nodded. Conversation moved on, just like that. Then Ryan laughed and leaned back in his chair. You still doing that finance stuff? That finance stuff. 6 years of work reduced to that. I looked at him, calm. Yeah. He smirked. Sounds boring. A few people at the table chuckled. Not loudly, but enough. My mom smiled, didn't correct him, didn't defend me. That was it. That was the last piece. I didn't argue. I didn't react. I didn't try to prove anything. Because for the first time, I understood something clearly. You can't earn respect from people who benefit from not giving it to you. I finished dinner, helped clear the table, said goodbye, and walked out. That night, I went home, sat on my bed, and opened my phone. Family group chat. I stared at it for a few seconds. Then I typed, I won't be coming to family gatherings for a while. I need space. Sent. My phone rang almost immediately. My mom. I answered. What is wrong with you? She snapped. You're being dramatic. I stayed calm. I'm not being dramatic. I'm just done pretending this is normal. It was a joke, Clara. No, I said quietly. It's a pattern. Silence. Then, you always overreact. I didn't argue. I just said, I'm done trying to explain myself to people who don't listen. And I hung up. That night, I blocked them. Not out of anger, out of clarity. 3 months later, I signed the papers. 46 pages, a quiet office, a simple pen. And just like that, I became a homeowner. At 24. The house on Maple Ridge Drive, the one I saw months earlier, white walls, small porch, a space that was entirely mine. No permission, no approval, no validation needed. My friend Lena came with me. She took a photo, me standing in front of the house, holding the key, smiling, not for anyone else, just because I could. That night, I posted it. Simple caption, first home, built it myself. No drama, no explanation, just truth. I had blocked my parents, so they didn't see it directly. But here's the thing about small towns. News travels. Fast. The next morning, my phone started lighting up. Unknown numbers, missed calls, voicemails. I checked the call log. My mom. Again, and again, and again. I counted them. 47 calls. In 1 hour, I didn't answer a single one. Later that day, my dad drove past Maple Ridge, like he always did. Except this time, he saw my car in the driveway and the sold sign in the yard. He pulled over, sat there, staring at the house, at what I had built, without them. They finally saw me. Not at my graduation, not during my struggle, not during the years I needed them. But now, when it was too late to be part of it. That evening, there was a knock on my door. I already knew who it was. My mom stood there, eyes red, voice shaking. You bought a house and didn't tell us? I looked at her, completely calm. I graduated, and you didn't come. She flinched. That's different. No, I said. It's not. She tried to speak, tried to explain, tried to turn it into something else. But for the first time, nothing worked. Because I wasn't trying to be understood anymore. I don't hate you, I said. I just stopped expecting anything from you. That hit her harder than anything else. You could see it, the realization, the weight of it. She stood there for a moment, then turned and walked away. And just like that, it was over. Not with shouting, not with revenge, not with drama, but with distance, clarity, and silence. Here's the truth no one tells you. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is stop trying to be seen by people who refuse to look. 6 months ago, I sat at my graduation, staring at empty chairs. Today, I sit on my own porch, in a house I earned, with no empty expectations. And that photo? It wasn't revenge. It was proof. That I never needed them to show up, to become something. If you stayed till the end, this story was for you. Because if you've ever been overlooked, ignored, or made to feel like you're not enough, remember this. You don't need their validation to build your life. If this hit you, like the video, subscribe for more stories like this, and tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? I'll see you in the next one.